Pursuant to MGL 7C 30A, Section 20F, after notifying the chair of the public body, any person may make a video or audio recording in an open session in a meeting of a public body or may transmit the meeting through any medium. At the beginning of the meeting, the chair shall inform other attendees of any such recordings. This meeting is being recorded by the Berkshire Eagle, the Berkshire Edge, and the town of Great Barrington, among others. Any member of the public wishing to speak at the meeting must receive permission of the chair. The listing of agenda items are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. First thing we have is approval of minutes for December 4th, 2023.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for December 4th, 2023 as written.
Do you have a second? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Select board's announcements or statements. I will start off with a statement. As many of you are aware, our police department received a complaint on December 8th from an individual who expressed concern about images and content in a book being provided to the students at the W.E.B. Du Bois Middle School. A verbal statement and 3 photographs were provided by the complainant. The officer that received the complaint reported to the police chief, who then contacted the school superintendent and arranged for an officer to meet with the school's principal and a teacher. After meeting with school officials and determining that the book was not able to be located, the officer contacted the Berkshire District Attorney's Office for guidance. It was ultimately determined that the material was not of criminal nature, and from that point on, the matter should be handled internally by school officials. We would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge this incident tonight as a board in our first public meeting since the incident took place. We fully recognize the impact this has had on our school community and the community as a whole, and it will take both time and committed action for us to fully recover. At this time, the town manager is reviewing the town's internal policies and procedures with the police chief and with guidance of counsel. The police department is also conducting its own internal debriefing process to determine how any similar future situation could and would be handled differently. A public listening session will be scheduled once this review process concludes. We hope this will be an opportunity to review our policies, revise them as necessary, and learn from this situation. We also hope that in time we can rebuild the town's long-standing positive working relationship with the school district, its staff, its faculty, and its students. As a board policy, we do not generally allow non-residents to speak during citizen speak time. But I'm also aware that there are individuals from the school community here tonight that would like to speak, since Great Barrington is home to our regional school district. For that reason, I intend to relax our policy for this one topic and this one time only. We welcome your feedback tonight. Your thoughts will guide us as we move forward. Thank you. Ben?
Yeah, just to kind of add to that. I'm glad to hear that the chief will be engaging in the process and coming to answer some of the questions that we have. And I think that's the thing that is clear, that there's a lot of questions remaining about everything that led up to the incident on December 8th and a lot of the things that happened afterwards. And I think this statement tonight is the first step in kind of getting the answers to those questions. But no matter what comes to light during this process, one thing is clear. There is a lot of work to repair the trust that's been broken. And I think that that's going to fall onto as much on our shoulders as this board and the town government, as well as the work of the police department. Like I said, there's a lot of questions to be answered, but it seems clear that someone used our police force to enact a political agenda, and that in the process made our gay and trans community feel targeted as if their personal stories were obscene and unwelcome in the public space. That's unacceptable. And I can give a statement of support tonight, but I don't think words really do enough. I think it's all about actions moving forward. And I think it's our responsibility as a board to really make sure that we are listening to the voices in the community and that we are actually finding actionable things to do moving forward to rebuild the trust that's been broken. Thank you.
Thanks. Go.
I wasn't going to say anything, but My thought is that I would love for us to get by as we do the right thing, listen appropriately and take the appropriate action. But I would love to see it not tear the town apart and take forever to repair. I'll say it, I hope we don't have a small town attitude, which kind of makes things more entangled, if you will. So I would love to see, do the right thing done and let's move on, repair things and move on.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Garfield. I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Town managers report.
I have one Housatonic Waterworks related update this evening, and that's that we've processed about 100 applications for relief funding as of today. First reimbursement request will be submitted to the state later this week. So we're making some progress there. One additional item I wanted to add to my report tonight, and that's that will be, or just a reminder to everyone that we'll be holding our next priority planning session on Monday, January 29th at 6 o'clock, and that agenda will be posted shortly.
Thank you very much. Licenses and permits, application for access to a public way, driveway permit, 204 North Street, Housatonic. Is someone here represent? So why don't you just get up and introduce yourself, so, because I'm sure there will be questions.
Anthony Conway Jr. I'm the owner of 204 North Street.
Thank you. Do we have questions before we entertain a motion? Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess, it's not so much a question, more a statement is that, our requirements are for it to be 16 feet maximum in width. And this one appears to be 20. So I wasn't sure if we were gonna correct that with the thing, or is there a reason why it's wider than the town requirements?
Just get up to one.
It was. If those dimensions came about to be able to park two vehicles side by side and open the doors without hitting the cars.
I think the larger question, if I just may, is the driveway's been built. And how did that happen with a contractor if you don't have a permit?
Well, I hired Pete Sales and Service to do the work, and I thought that was all taken care of. And then it was brought to my attention and I came immediately.
Fair response on your part. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so,
I mean, we have a couple of choices, I think that you were asking. One, we can approve, I think the DPW has addressed their concerns, especially with the manhole that was covered.
yeah,
We can approve it. Doesn't appear that the 4 feet is, a game changer necessarily for the DPW. But we can go as far as to not approve it. We can ask them to remove the driveway. We can ask them to scale it back to 16 feet. I mean, we have the authority to do whatever we would like to do. It's just we have to decide. I think for the homeowner's sake, it's an honest mistake. For the contractor, I don't know.
right, yeah. Well, I'll start off by making a motion to approve the driveway at 204 North Street, Housatonic, Mass.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
I was just, my only thought and concern was if this won't start a snowball thing and other people start taking the steps without doing the proper maneuvers, if you will, or taking the proper steps, it needs to be looked at and done the correct way. So whenever someone's doing this, they need to make sure they're following all the steps.
Yeah, that would be my concern.
I hired Pete solely based on his length of experience in the town, and I thought that he would know these rules. He does driveways everywhere.
Yeah,
So probably more your responsibility than his, I would think.
well, I would like to almost hear from Pete. as
I mean, I
much
didn't
as-
know.
I mean,
And
you trusted,
As soon as I was contacted, I came right down,
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
yeah.
Oh, it sounds like an.
Yeah, I actually think if I was in the same position, I would have assumed they got the permit
Yeah.
and they'd done everything for code. It's up to you. If you want to have Pete's come in here, we can do that. I mean, it's not, sometimes the problem is that we're holding up a project.
Right.
We're not holding up this project. So if you would like them to come in with an explanation, that's fine. If not, we, you know,
Because I mean, it sounds like the word here is that we're setting a precedent, right?
Yeah.
It's just that, so it's how do we kind of make sure that we don't do that? Well, it's also, it doesn't sound like we're trying to take advantage of anything here that you
Well,
truly thought you were doing. the right-
Moving forward, I'll be coming here for,
I'm not sure we would set a precedent for this, especially after the discussion we're having.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty clear that we're not happy with the contractor and that we're not, I don't think any of us want to take it onto the homeowner, and it's not such a, 4 feet is not causing any blockage to road, any drainage problems. They've
Yeah.
already fixed the sewer that was, manhole that was covered. So I don't think we're setting any precedent, and I think to drag, my own opinion is just to drag this out, probably is just a waste of everyone's time.
I agree.
Maybe we send a letter or something to Pete and letting them know in the future they need to.
Send him a list of
abide and
requirements to
check.
refresh his
Right,
memory.
to
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
So it's unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're all
Thank you.
set.
You as well.
Okay, gonna do these in pieces. First one is B, application for a 1-day liquor license, beer and wine. Jessica Eichstead, Great Barrington Fisher Game, Ice Fishing Derby, 338 Long Pond, Housatonic on February 10th, 2024, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can come up. We're gonna do this in 3 pieces, the ice fishing, the Super Bowl party, and then the ham shoots all together. So if you wanna get a little publicity and just tell us about it, that's fine. If not, we'll just ask questions.
I'm Jess Armstead. I'm the secretary of the Fishing Day Club, also the bartender. We have our annual like ham shoots in the spring and turkey shoots in the fall. Plus we try to have ice fishing derby. Yeah, the last few years it's been dumps. And then like, the next one's, like just like a private like Super Bowl like gathering, people come in and have their food and so.
Okay, so do I have a motion for the ice fishing business?
I make a motion to approve the 1-day liquor license, beer and wine to Jessica Eichstead at Great Barrington Fish and Game Association for February 10th, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next is the 1-day liquor license, beer and wine. You've already explained it's a private Super Bowl party, so do I have a motion?
Make a motion for the 1-day liquor license, beer and wine to Jessica Eichstead, Great Barrington Fish and Game Association, February 11th, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. And then the next are 6 dates for a 1-day liquor and beer and wine licenses. Jessica Eichstead, Great Barrington Fish and Game Association, ham shoots, 338 Long Pond Road. The dates we'll announce during the motion. You want to just give a little plug on what those are?
We do, ham shoots, open to anybody. During COVID, it was just members only, but now it's open to anybody. It's to start at noon. There's 18 in shot. You know, even like hams, steaks, chicken wings. It's all good.
Sounds like fun. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion for the application of a 1-day liquor license, beer and wine to Jessica Eichstead for Great Barrington Fish and Game Association, ham shoots at 338 Long Pond Road in Housatonic on February 8th, February 18th, February 25th, March 3rd, March 10th, March 17th, and March 24th, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next 4 are applications for 1-day liquor license, beer and wine. Pat Hollenbeck, Board of Library Trustees. There are, one is to celebrate the redecorated reading room, and the other 3 are Saturday documentary film festivals. And with the motion, we'll waive the fee because it's a town event. Waive fee and liquor liability, insurance coverage and certification. I don't see Patrick here, do you?
Waiting.
Does anybody have any questions? If not, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the one-day liquor license beer and wine to Pat Hollenbeck, Board of Trustees to celebrate the redecorating reading room at 231 Main Street on January 20th, 2024 at 5 p.m. through 7. And then also on Saturday, the documentary film series on February 3rd, 2024 from 6 p.m. to 10. Then on March 2nd, 2024 from 6 p.m. to 10. And then also on April 6th from 6 p.m. to 10.
And, to waive the liquor,
And to waive the
fee and liquor liability insurance.
fee and
coverage.
liquor liability insurance coverage requirements.
Do I have a second?
Second with just a little discussion.
Okay. Mark, can I just ask a question before we do that? I know we waive the fee. Do we normally, my memory is failing, waive the liquor liability insurance coverage requirements?
Yeah, we can cover that. They did submit, tip certification, so that's.
That's all. Okay,
That's good
perfect.
enough for us.
Perfect, all right then.
I just want just for, I don't know, technicalities, should the date be 1/20/24? This is date 1/20, start time 5 o'clock, end time 7.
Oh, it says 23
23, it says 1/20/23.
on the celebration of the reading room.
Okay, it is 24 on the, I'm looking at the agenda, I wasn't
Okay.
looking at that.
No,
Okay,
alright.
it's 24. Okay, that's correct. Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Application for an inn holder's license, Patrick and Gabriella Trular, Lantern Inn located at 250 Stockbridge Road, Great Barrington. Anyone here?
Let's see either of those names.
Do we have any questions before
You said the Lantern Inn?
Lantern Inn?
That's the hotel.
It's a whole, okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't have any.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the inn holder's license to Patrick and Gabriella Truler. Lantern Inn location at 256 Stockbridge Road, Great Barrington, Mass.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Application for an inn holder's license for Terrence and Terry Coughlin, Granville House located at 98 Division Street, Great Barrington, Mass. 01230.
Yeah, also, that's.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the inn holder's license for Terrence and Terry Conklin at Coughlin at the Granville House located at 98 Division Street, Great Barrington, Mass.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Application for common victualer's license, Terrence and Terry Coughlin, Granville House located at 98 Division Street. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Public hearings. FY 24 Community Development Block Grant, CDBG, application for housing rehabilitation serving residents of Great Barrington, Egremont, and Stockbridge. This vote is to submit grant application and vote to allocate previous CDBG grant income for contingency. Who's leading us through this? Is Chris?
I'm gonna go ahead and promote Alice.
Okay.
Hi, this is Alice Boyd. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, thank you. The Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities has announced their FY 24 grant round due in late March. They were formerly DHCD, Department of Housing and Community Development. They changed their name recently. As you know, Great Barrington participated in the Egremont FY21 grant, where we completed 11 homes in your community at an average cost of $45,000. And recently you were awarded 1.35 million from the FY22-23 grant. And that program is just getting started, and that's for Great Barrington households solely. We have now started that grant, and we think we'll be able to work with 21 households to benefit, to completely take care of code violations and health and safety issues. This is a deferred payment forgivable loan. Most homeowners never pay back a penny. It's a wonderful program. We are currently capped at 50,000 per household, but I have understood that this number will go up this next year. We continue to have great interest in the program from your residents, and we would like to continue by applying for the next FY24 grant that won't be awarded for another year. So we're always a year behind in these things. We have asked Great Barrington to consider being lead community with Egremont and Stockbridge. Great Barrington participated in the Egremont grant previously, so that's returning the favor. And Stockbridge was participating in another regional grant, and they never were, none of their households were served. They don't have a lot of households interested, but we would like to be able to help them out as well. There's an advantage to being a lead community in that, number one, there's a maximum dollar amount that you can receive over 2 years. So this allows you to continue securing funds on a rolling basis, to have a program available to residents on regularly. It also, any program loans paid back within certain limits are given to the town, and the town can use them for community development purposes. So there are a couple of advantages to being a lead community. Dawn Lemon is with you today, and she is the Housing Rehab Program Manager and very highly regarded locally. She's also the president of the new Berkshire Community Development. She can explain how housing rehab works and how residents can apply.
Thank you, Alice. Dawn Lemon from Berkshire Community Development, and as Alice just mentioned, I manage the housing rehab program. My office is right across the street on Main Street above Tom's Toys. And how can residents apply? I know that the town of Great Barrington sent out an e-blast for this round. And I'm hopeful to put in a tax insert for the next mailing, which I believe goes out in March. Is that correct, Mark? March or April?
Yeah, I can't remember exactly when that quarter goes up, but.
They do May 1st, so they must go out there.
First.
Must go out at the end of April.
30 days.
Yeah, at the end of March, yeah.
But currently, if anyone is interested, you can go on the town website. There's a link there. Pre-applications have been distributed all over town, in the libraries, at the post office. There's pamphlets downstairs. They can call me. I've been assisting applicants in the office with whether it's a pre-application or a full application, and it's just the phone and the emails just don't stop. So keep them coming my way. There is a little confusion of where to bring a pre-application. I spoke with Josh on Friday, and I don't know if it's because it's under the planning board on the website, but people are bringing pre-applications to the planning board, and it's kind of getting shuffled around. Although the address is clearly marked on the pre-application, but just to let everyone know, you can either maybe send them to one office in the town hall, or you can refer them to me and I will get them. Does anyone have any questions?
This is a great program and doesn't cost the town a penny. I always want to make sure you know that there's no cost to the town.
Thank you for pointing that out.
Thank you. I move to submit an FY24 regional CDBG grant for housing rehabilitation and to authorize the town manager or designee to sign the grant application and associated forms.
Do I have a second?
And a second with discussion.
Yeah. Discussion.
Are you ready for me? Ready? I just wanted to state that it's a wonderful program. I have actually taken advantage of it. Dawn is wonderful, easy to work with. And I think if you're a citizen of Great Barrington, if you're especially an elder citizen, I'm an elder citizen, you should take advantage of it if you can.
Hey, anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. Next motion.
I move to allocate 25,000 from the CDBG miscellaneous income account to use as a contingency for the FY 24 housing rehabilitation program.
Do you have a second?
Second.
Do you have a brief explanation of that?
Yeah, I'm glad to do that. The 25,000 is funds that were earned from your downtown payment program, your downtown redevelopment program. So they're in your account. They're just sitting there. We never use contingency funds. We have not used them ever, but we are required to have them. So we have asked to allocate those funds as you have done in the past.
Thank you. So I have a motion and I have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Continued from December 12th, 2023, special permit application from Michelle Mackey, DBA Midori's Garden LLC, 920 Main Street, Great Barrington, for a marijuana cultivation and manufacturing establishment in an industrial zone at 920 Main Street. This application is filed in accordance with sections 3.1.4C, 13, and 7.18 and 10.4 of the zoning bylaw. We have opened the public hearing. We've had an explanation of the project. We've had people speaking on it. We've had questions, but we do have a slight change tonight to go right ahead.
So at the previous meeting, we withdrew the cultivation part of the application.
So tonight is our, hopefully we get through this tonight, is for a marijuana manufacturing establishment in an industrial zone at 920 Main Street. Chris, do you want to walk us through this?
I'd be happy to. Chris Rembold, Assistant Town Manager, Planning Director. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, very well, thank you.
And for the record, could I ask Mickey to introduce herself again?
Yeah, so I'm Mickey or Michelle Mack. I live at 920 Main Street, Great Barrington.
Thanks,
I'm
Mickey.
sorry, I should have done that, but we seem like old friends. She comes to every meeting.
So I believe we're still in the public hearing phase. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so just
We
to
have
bring
not
folks,
closed the public hearing.
right. So just to bring folks up to date, at the last session of the public hearing on this matter, the board voted to accept the applicant's request to withdraw without prejudice the cultivation aspect of this special permit. That was voted and granted. So the manufacturing portion of this special permit is still pending, and that's what's in front of you tonight. Included in your packet tonight was a draft set of findings of fact regarding the manufacturing portion of the request. And so those are for you, the applicant, and the public to discuss and make any changes and hear any new evidence if there is any, and add any conditions or discuss conditions if you think any are needed.
So Chris, why don't you walk us through the finding, the select board through the findings of fact? I will take public comment anytime that someone raises their hand or steps to the microphone, but let's walk through this.
Sure. So the findings of fact in your packet includes an introduction, basically restating what the application was for, and summarizing, as I just said, that the cultivation aspect was withdrawn, and that these findings of fact and the balance of this permit process have to do with the manufacturing use only. Any questions there? Anything I've missed?
Questions?
No.
No.
In terms of the general findings, this is basically noting what aspects of the zoning bylaw apply. Specifically, that this is for a manufacturing cannabis manufacturing establishment using existing buildings on the site. There are no new structures proposed here. To remind folks, the applicants do live on the site and will use existing buildings on the site for the manufacturing aspect. While the property is in an industrial zone, the manufacturing for cannabis does require a special permit granted by this select board. I should say, to be decided by this select board. The provisions of the floodplain and water quality overlay districts are not triggered here since there's no new work or no site work, no new buildings. And just to note that your reviewing boards did look at this, but that was with the cultivation aspect in play back in September and October. None of the boards had anything to note about the manufacturing aspect, so I think you can continue without any additional input from them.
Thank you, Chris. We do have a hand up. Let me just recognize it. Eileen, go right ahead.
I was wondering, excuse me, where the marijuana to be manufactured will come from.
It will come from other licensed cultivators in the state.
Did you hear that, Eileen?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Mickey.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any discussion on the general findings?
Looks good.
Whatever.
Go right ahead, Chris.
So there are specific criteria regarding marijuana establishments set forth in section 7.18 of the bylaw. The application, in fact, meets all of the applicable requirements, except for the fact that obviously the applicant cannot provide a statement from the state yet, a license from the state yet. Since that can't be obtained until after the facility is permitted by special permit. So the select board should find that granting a waiver from that specific requirement is reasonable. And then finally, the zoning bylaw also requires details about security. In fact, we've never actually required that. That's something that we've always waived. It's sensitive information to provide security details in a public document. And the practice here has been to allow the police department, applicant, and the CCC to determine what the security requirements should be and that they comply with those requirements.
Any questions on that portion? I don't see any, Chris.
So then we move on to special permit criteria. Generally, there are six areas that the select board must review in detail. The first is social, economic, and community needs served by the proposal. First of all, the draft findings here say that the select board finds the proposal is in keeping with the community's approval of the November 2016 ballot question legalizing adult use marijuana. And the use is proposed pursuant to zoning regulations for adult use marijuana first passed in May 2018. And the select board finds the project will further certain goals of the master plan, including promoting local agriculture and local employment. I'll pause there. The select board has anything to add, discuss, questions?
I think we're okay on that one. I don't see any hands, so select board seems satisfied.
In terms of traffic flow and safety, select board finds proposal will have no negative impact on traffic flow or safety. Sufficient parking is provided on site for the limited number of employees. And I guess, Mr. Chairman, through you, I'll ask the applicant how many employees they expect for just the manufacturing aspect. We're not holding you to this. We're just trying to better understand that the parking on site reflects the number of employees you may have.
Probably not more than one or two. It's just gonna be me to start.
So one or two is
Yeah.
the answer.
Yeah, and the board has seen the site and has seen the parking situation there, and you're comfortable with that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. In terms of adequacy of utilities and public services, this particular use won't be using the public water or public sewer systems. I will note that the residence is served by both, but this use will not. use those utilities. In terms of the town's experience with other marijuana establishments in town, we don't expect any impacts on public safety services. Any questions or comments there?
No, I'm not saying any.
And then in terms of neighborhood character and social structures, the select board, the draft finding says the select board finds the proposal is in an industrial zone where the use may be allowed by special permit. Since no new structures will be built and there will be no odor, since the manufacturing aspect, as you found earlier, does not have an odor component, the select board fines, not funds, there will be no negative impacts to the neighborhood or social structures.
We don't have any questions on that. I guess I just have more of a couple statements on that. And so as far as like the neighborhood character and social structures of it, it is obviously zoned industrial, but it obviously has a serious residential feel. So that's where I've been concerned in just and I know it was written in the earlier part, but we're just talking about one piece of equipment and that expansion. And I know that it's written in there also that if there was for any future expansion, you would have to come back for it, right? And so we're all.
It will require a permit.
Right,
Yes.
yeah, so.
Yeah, you're
that
correct.
being
on all
said, I feel good about that.
that. Anyone else? First, move ahead.
Okay, the next one, item 5, is impacts on natural environment. Select board finds that proposed water and energy conservation measures will generate no negative impacts on the environment.
Mhm.
In terms of fiscal impact, the 6th item there, the select board finds the project will not negatively impact town services. Also, the host community agreement will ensure their support of local nonprofits.
Sounds good.
See,
And so the overall finding then is that the select board finds that the benefits of the proposal outweigh any possible detrimental impacts.
So on to the draft motions, Chris, if there, we have to close a public hearing first.
Yes, you can invite further question, comment, and then move to close the public hearing when you see fit.
I will give a disclaimer while people are deciding whether they want to speak, but Mickey already knows this, but there are only 4 select board members here tonight. You need 4 positive votes. If for any reason you would feel more comfortable waiting, we will do that, but otherwise my plan was to vote tonight. I see,
And the whole community agreement is separate.
that is separate. Yeah, and we can finally move on to that. Now that there's no sense of doing the host community if you don't get the special permit. That's always been our philosophy. Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I make a motion to close the public hearing for McDory's Gardens.
Do you have a second?
second,
Roll call vote, Ben?
Aye.
Garfield?
aye,
Eric?
Aye.
And aye, it's unanimous. Select board discussion.
Yeah, I guess I just want to say, I feel good about the manufacturing portion of this project, so and I like all the draft findings that have been written, so I personally am ready to go to the next step with this.
I just want to say thank you for engaging in this process. I know it's not the easiest, and it's hasn't been the quickest, so I appreciate you.
Thank you. And thank you for preparing the findings for.
Thank you for helping me out with some of the factual and technical aspects. I wanted to make sure everything was right.
Anyone else?
yes, I'm pleased that you were able to get this passed, and I appreciate having a woman-owned and minority-owned business added to the Berkshire business ledger.
Do I have the first motion?
Vote on motions. I move to approve the findings of fact for special permit 937-23 as written and referenced as Exhibit A.
You have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? It's a roll call vote. Ben,
Aye.
Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous. One more to go.
I move in view of the approved findings of fact to approve special permit 937-23 for Michelle Mackey, doing business as Midori Gardens LLC for a marijuana manufacturing establishment in an industrial zone at 920 Main Street.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call. Ben,
Aye.
Garfield,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
and I. It's unanimous and it passes. Thank you very much. New business. Master plan review, select board task, Randy Nelson. Chair of the planning board, welcome. Always happy to see you. We're well.
Phenomenal.
Well, I won't make it worse. How about that? Good evening, everybody. So for the record, I'm Brandy Nelson. I'm the chair of the planning board. Happy New Year. Before you this evening, a couple months ago, we had a brief introduction. The planning board has been undertaking a sort of taking stock of where we are in all the to-do items that came out of the master plan in 2013. Honestly, it's been a good process for us because we hadn't done it on an annual basis, and I think what we've learned is we probably should do it on an annual basis. We are fortunate to have Chris Rumble, who has put together a substantial list of the actionable items that came out of the master plan. And a couple years ago, he gave us an update, I want to say in 2019, Chris. And then that has since been revisited. And what the planning board has done is we've taken that list, we've divvied it up amongst the committees who had been assigned various tasks, and the planning board members are fanning out to all the various committees in town just to check in and say, hi, how are you doing with these items? Are you aware you have these items to take care of? Are these items still relevant? Because what we're starting to think now is 2024, our master plan was approved in 2013. It's 11 years old. A lot has happened in our community in 11 years. We've been through a pandemic. We've had a aging population. We're seeing effects of climate change, things that aren't necessarily registered in our master plan. So we're starting to think, should we be considering in the next couple of years doing an update to the master plan? So our first step is to sort of take stock of where we are in implementation. And what I'd like to do with you guys tonight is just to go through this list. And I appreciate you guys. You've got select board items, but you graciously agreed to take on the energy committee items as well, since the energy committee is defunct. There's also one or two straggler items from an economic development committee that had been started and then sort of petered out and probably didn't have enough to do, or people had too much to do. And what we'd like to do is, you've accomplished many of the items based on this list, but the ones that haven't been undertaken or maybe haven't been started, are they still relevant? And if they're not, that's fine, we can move on. Things in the community have changed. And then our goal after doing this sort of first kind of initial taking stock of things would be to come back in a couple of months and start thinking about what's new. So, I mean, my ask when I depart would be to start thinking, what else do we need to be doing in our community? And if we were to engage in a master plan update, what are those big issues that we haven't gotten into yet, and that we need to start doing some community engagement. So our goal is to sort of start with committees that are in place currently, take stock, then ask committees, what else do we need to look at, and then start engaging the new committees, because there's probably a dozen new committees that have been formed in the last 10 years with tremendous a number of volunteers that put in hours to make the town work along with staff. So I think we have about 2 dozen items here. And I didn't know if you had this list to share on screen for the public. I think it was in the packet. Didn't know if that was helpful for people so they can kind of
It
follow.
would be helpful. We'll see if we can do that or not.
Otherwise, I can just, I can just like briefly go over them.
the way the spreadsheet is set up is that the master plan had categories and then there were actionable items or strategies that came out of it. And then an entity in the town was assigned responsibility and so in the last column in the spreadsheet that I sent you all is sort of what the progress was as of August of this last year, and there's even been progress made since that time. Do you want me to just start?
Give it a second here.
I'm just checking with Chris.
Yeah, Chris, do you have that on yours? Can you pull it up? If not, we can
You're
move ahead.
muted.
Let me log in with another machine and you may need to promote me through again.
Yeah, we'll be glad to do that. We'll let those to work on it for a second, Brandon.
Sure.
And I never knew there was a font this small before.
I know.
I was super good on
Yes.
11 or 8.
Excellent job.
Sorry.
You just can't read it, but it's not
Well, I'll get
neat,
through my.
tidy. Can't read it.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay.
I've got mine on my iPad and I'm just like keep blowing it up.
Yes.
And we do have master plan update as a standing item on the planning board's agenda right now. So if people are in for citizen speak, we're checking in on being in touch with the other committees each time we meet. We haven't really gotten into any sort of new topics yet, but if folks have thoughts about the direction the community is going and where we are in accomplishing the master plan, invite people to participate in the planning board meetings, which are second and fourth Thursdays.
Perfect.
Doable, PSA ones.
Are you seeing that okay?
Yes.
Yes, it's still unreadable, we can see it.
So I don't know, Steve, I'd defer to you if you wanted to lead going through them or,
No,
okay.
we'll let you lead going
So
through.
the first one is, Housatonic School Campus. To attend to concerns and opportunities outlined in the task force report, including building, parking, et cetera. I think there's been a lot of movement on Housatonic School over the years and a tremendous amount of progress. I would mark that as ongoing, sort of in progress. I think there.
Is the sale of the buildings complete? Has that been filed?
Chris, is the closing?
We have the closing.
It's completed. This update is actually slightly out of date now.
So we no longer own the building.
Correct.
Mark it complete.
I did write complete in my notes.
Yes.
I'm just checking on that.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure whether the,
Yes,
Final
that's
paperwork is
number
gone
109.
Yeah.
Number 78 was create a municipal affordable housing trust fund managed by a housing committee, and that's been in place and underway, so that's progress. 110 was keeping the district court at Dewey School. I believe that's complete also.
We should be signing a new 10-year lease with them very shortly.
How many, another lease?
A 10-year.
A 10-year.
I'm never sure this is gonna be complete because we have leases, but it's,
Complete and ongoing, or
Yeah,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah, I mean, does it warrant continuing to be in a master plan? I think is one of
I think it's important that the court stays here, and so I think it probably does.
Yeah. Item number 122 is improve winter sidewalk maintenance in neighborhoods. Consider a regulation that requires homeowners and businesses to clear their sidewalks within 24 hours. Attend to concerns of the disabled and the elderly for whom this might be a burden. I don't remember when we acquired the little sidewalk plow, but that seems to have helped with snow clearing. And I don't know if that's how this item was possibly addressed instead of going to everybody clear their own sidewalk. I don't know if anyone.
First one was purchased before my time here, but we did purchase another replacement since.
Okay,
I'm not hearing much in the way of complaints.
yeah,
From time to time, we'll get a question asking if we can expand our route, but
yeah,
without more equipment and staffing, that works.
It seemed this past storm, which was our only one so far, but the sidewalks in Housatonic section were cleaned off pretty quick, the main loop, and I was just been really impressed with all the plowing and and everything, so.
Yeah, the DPW staff got out there really quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that was great. That was great. So yeah, I mean, maybe that's it, you know, the bylaw, is it necessary, but maintenance strategies have changed and the DPW is approaching it a little differently.
I guess there is, I mean, that plow probably can't make it to every section, so it would be, what about the sections that aren't, right? So I guess that is.
I mean, definitely, it feels like something, feels like there's progress made, but we should probably, I mean, talk to DPW and then find out exactly what the protocol is and kind of see.
Is it one sweep and then
Yeah.
the citizens or business owners are responsible after that, or?
And I've seen that we're grinding the sidewalks in preparation of the storms now too, right? So it's evolving as well, so.
I think they're making good progress.
Yeah.
in the Program.
Yeah, and without going too far in this, I'm not sure regulations, the right wording anymore. You know,
Mhm.
maybe a request of citizens to keep it clear. I don't think people want to be regulated to death. I think they're either going to do it or not. We're not gonna find people who don't, so I think more of a request and adding on that the town now does a significant portion of the cycle.
Mhm. Yeah, okay. All right, great. Number 124 was a commitment that every street or road improvement, such as widening, et cetera, would accommodate pedestrians and bicycles. Mandate this on public roads, subdivision roads, driveways for commercial developments. Attend especially to needs of youngsters and senior citizens. And where the road is maintained, to advocate to the DOT for bike lanes. And I think, we've talked about this at the planning board as being consistent with complete streets policy. And I believe that that's how we've addressed this item as a town. So I think this is pretty much like in progress and completed.
Yeah.
The next one is lobby for and support Housatonic Railroad efforts to restore passenger railroad service. It's sort of nothing to report as of this date. It's kind of an ongoing.
I think it's ongoing. It's
Number 158, establish an economic development committee to liaise between businesses and town government to understand the town's position and changing needs, focus on implementing plan goals and strategies from economic development. I think that, like I said, that got started and then it sort of.
It was
fizzled out.
dissolved.
Yeah.
It was thought by the committee that doing work as a private sector was more efficient than a public body.
Okay,
So, I don't hear I won't say there's no pressing need for an economic development committee, but there's no pressing cry of people volunteering to start one again. So,
okay.
What about just a business district
um,
committee
that's,
outside of how
Yeah.
the town help promote the downtown businesses to work together?
we've attempted twice to form a bid.
Mhm.
We've been unsuccessful. The businesses were not as a whole interested,
Mhm.
so I'm not sure that's another one we wanna work too hard on.
Mhm.
The next three, 164, 165, and 166 are about education, investing in K through 12 education, renovating the high school, and supporting vocational education. They reference back from this version that consolidation was being reviewed. That obviously we've had our special town meeting on that, and we're moving past the consolidation issue. I mean, I think the school issue is probably an ongoing issue, right? We're always.
Well, I think 165, 166 are very, very pertinent right now. There's a building committee. We're about to hire architects. So I think that those are very, very pertinent. If the new school building is approved, there'll be a vocational technical training. There'll be at least 5 courses, maybe 5 programs in there. So I think all that's still really important. Ongoing, 164, to invest in quality K through 12 school system, closer school scrutiny of the school budget should continue. There's nothing wrong with that. I think all those are ongoing and maybe more. The last 65 and 66, the building project maybe is more pertinent than ever right now.
Sure.
This is
Yeah.
our chance to do it.
Absolutely. We can get it done. 198 is create a housing committee or form a partnership with Housing Authority or Community Development Corporation of South Berkshire that will work with town staff, homeowners, realtors, and other professionals to implement housing strategies. Chris had noted that a housing subcommittee has been created between the planning board and the select board. And there seems to be a fair amount of local and regional communication collaboration about housing. I think that's ongoing.
Yes, I would think so.
Number 208 is a consistency of the master plan with consideration developing and evaluating the capital improvement plan. Just to align master plan goals with the capital planning. The note here is that it's included in the town manager's development of annual budgets. I assume that's still the case, right, Mark?
Yeah, I think we're probably more organized than that than we ever have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's great. That's wonderful. The next few are energy committees, so I don't know if they'll come as surprises to you, but when I read through them, it felt like the town still had made a lot of forward progress with the energy committee items. The first one is strategy number 89, provide technical assistance to homeowners and businesses for energy audits and conservation measures, including providing property owners. It says perhaps in tax bills, information on existing free energy audit programs and rebates for efficiency upgrades. It does seem to me we've done a number of things as a town to try and promote energy efficiency, even just hearing the application before mine, or the agenda item before mine about applying for CDBG funds to help with energy efficiency upgrades and repairs.
And I don't know if National Grid had the programs, I mean, we shouldn't take credit for it, but they have programs out there to do some of these energy audits that may not have been 10 years ago or more.
Yeah, and years ago, I know the energy committee, because I was on it maybe 10 years ago. There was some advocating for CET, I think it was called, to come around and do energy audits.
Yeah, CET, like through Mass Saves.
Yeah,
kind of
through
thing.
Mass Save,
Yeah,
that's exactly
yeah.
right.
Yeah,
Can I just make one little comment about that?
Of course.
I don't know if anyone's aware of it, because it's through National Grid. If you're an elder citizen, 65 or older, you can get your electricity guaranteed, if you will. It will not be shut off if you're 65 or older. I don't know if people are aware of that.
That's good to know.
Yeah, thank you, Deborah.
Let's see, so then, item 90 was educate homeowners and businesses about small scale solar, wind, or other renewable technologies. There had been some efforts back when the committee was going, but I'm not aware that there's anything else happening right now. I know the planning board did include a number of, renewable energy, practices as accessory uses, so that's now included. Number 92 is use technical assistance from Green Communities grants. Establish a revolving loan fund to underwrite costs of installing renewable energy systems. Priority should be given to low-income households and seniors on fixed incomes. I honestly don't know if Green Communities has still got funds available to give. Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of, no, but we can certainly check.
Okay. Then let's see, what's the next one? 94, investigate property tax and personal property tax incentives for small scale rooftop or off the grid. That sort of loops with 96, which was a pursue solarized maps. We did pursue solarized maps a number of years ago. And so 94 and 96, there were some incentives to do the solarized program at that time. I think Malcolm Fick was one of the solarized leaders, and we did end up getting a fair amount of rooftop solar at that point in time. I think that's done, and I don't know that that program is going anymore. Number 95 is provide incentives to homeowners with older homes who are undertaking energy efficiency improvements, such as insulation, air sealing, and heating system upgrades. Again, that CDBG program that we've been successful with I think applies to that one. I call that ongoing as well. Number 97, reduce municipal energy use by 20% within 5 years of green communities designation. Was that in 2014 that we got green communities? Okay, I don't know that anyone tracked, that whether or not we've achieved that, so. The Energy Committee did do a assessment of municipal energy use, where they looked at all the municipal buildings, the sewer plant, the pump stations, vehicles, and there were a lot of recommendations that came out of that. So there was sort of a baseline assessment of energy use, but where we've gone in terms of tracking, I don't know. I think it was 2 town managers ago. Mark.
Yeah, we have made progress though, even still in my time, with weatherizing town buildings, insulating the Hoosie Dome.
True, yeah, that's true.
Changing out, all of our, dated light fixtures with LEDs, so we're making progress.
Occupancy sensors, all of that stuff. But are we quantifying it in any way? And is that something that maybe the sustainability committee would want to take on?
It may be tracked in our Green Communities report that's filed annually. with
Oh, we are
DO
still doing it?
DOE, we are,
Oh, okay,
yes.
great.
But I would have to ask.
Even like the street lights, right? Those are all getting switched over to LED as well, so that would be a
That'll be
significant
Works.
Yeah.
savings.
Yeah. Okay, so there's. So we could even take stock just over a series of those reporting periods and see how much reduction we've attained.
Yeah, the RPC manages our report for us. so
Okay.
We have access to the reports.
Okay, cool. We can follow up then. 98 was sponsor renewable energy facilities on private property, most likely by purchasing the power generated by systems on private property. So we've got at least 3 systems I can think of, in the community on brownfield sites or low productivity, ag land. And I believe the power is benefiting, both us and school districts, right? So I think that one's good, right? Not done, good. 99, develop a local investment fund for those seeking returns from small town Main Street businesses rather than Wall Street. This was a economic development committee task, and I never got any legs.
I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I hadn't either. So is that something that is relevant still? Because that's the question.
Yeah, I mean, I think people make their own investments in the town and neighborhoods, as it, I think that's a personal decision, right? I don't know. how that-
Yeah, I think there was some community investing that funded the part of the co-op's construction. That's the only model of that I can think of.
Pooling of wealth to build, yeah.
Yeah. Item number 105, investigate and promote where feasible and environmentally friendly small-scale hydro projects using town water resources. That was on the Energy Committee. I don't believe that got any traction, and I don't know that we have any opportunities. Hydro. And then the last one is 106, conduct renewable energy feasibility studies at town sites, including the landfill, and rooftops of town buildings and parking lots, to develop renewable energy systems where studies say they are favorable. There was a study done at one point in time as part of the Energy Committee's work, but I'm not aware that it bore any fruit really. So I don't think we have much in the way of town-owned property that's feasible for solar development. But I think
Yeah, I
that
think
was
you're right.
not relevant anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. That wasn't too painful, right?
No.
That's good, it's good.
So see what you can do in 10 years? So, like I said, the planning board's been thinking things like climate change, changes in community demographics as sort of bigger things we've seen in the last 10 or 11 years that might be relevant in terms of master plan update. If you guys just want to reach out either to Chris or to me directly, if there are other big, community-wide issues that you're seeing that we need to be more focused on if we're looking ahead for 10 years. We'll come back and chat with you all in a couple of months.
Sounds good.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Mark, the joint letter with the rest of river towns in support of rail transportation for the rest of the river cleanup plan.
So in your packet is a letter of support for rail transportation for the rest of river cleanup project. This is the very first step in this process, and it's an important step towards speaking with one voice. So the draft that you see tonight in your packet was approved by the town of Lenox on December 20th. It was approved by Sheffield on the 18th, by Lee on the 19th, and the town of Stockbridge on the 14th. West Stockbridge will also be reviewing and hopefully approving this letter at their meeting on January 16th. So I would ask or recommend that you motion to approve this draft with West Stockbridge included as well.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve the joint letter with the rest of river towns in support of rail transportation for the rest of river cleanup plan.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Go ahead. I wasn't sure what the hand said.
Yeah, I know, well, I wasn't sure, it was just, I just wanted to say, like, I'm glad that we're signing this, I'm glad that we're sending it through, I think this is a good first step. I look forward to finding out more details about this project and how, I know this is just kind of the beginning of the process. But especially how it will impact our town, because Tonic especially, since it will be the dredging site at Rising Pond. This is a good first step in what's going to be, I'm sure, a long, difficult process. I'm just looking forward to getting more information.
Once we have a proposal put together and we are working on something now, we'll bring it back to you.
Yeah.
At that time.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Next is Thomby Liquor Inc., application for amendment to a liquor license, pledge of collateral, pledge of license and pledge of inventory at 10 Depot Street, Housatonic.
I'm looking for the attorney Matthew Porter, so I don't see Matthew here.
If someone's here representing this group, just raise your hand. If not, we're going to continue this for another time.
Not seeing him.
Okay, we will continue this. We'll be in touch with the group. Okay. We are now up to citizen speak time. We did read a statement at the beginning concerning the book issue and that we will come back with a listening session, hopefully in 2 to 3 weeks. If you're going to speak tonight, you have 3 minutes to speak. You need to give your name and address. And I will rotate between in-room and online. Just people who are keeping track, there are 5 people as panelists, 38 as attendees, and there were 8 in the room right now. So let's start. Claudia, go right ahead.
Claudia Shapiro, December 8th, 2024, citizen speak time, Claudia Shapiro, 74 Mount Plain Road, for the record. I'm adding to my concerns voiced at the December 12th, 2023 select board meeting. The town of Great Barrington has no secondary water source despite the fire district's 21-year ongoing search. I'm concerned of a town claim to the EPA and the DPE its drinking water source is Housatonic Waterworks and not the Upper Wellhead Public Recharge Area, the town's sole source aquifer, encompassing my property, the airport property, and the entire neighborhood upstream of the infiltration gallery located in Filbert Road to enable industrialization of this critically sensitive area for airport industrial park / expansion / waste facility from R4 residential district to industrial. That would also be voted on at the upcoming 2024 annual town meeting, enabling that by right hazardous waste combustion facility. I asked the planning board December 12th to please not consider airport zone change from what it has always been, R4 residential to industrial, and I'm asking the select board not to approve a planning board recommendation of the zone change for the aforementioned reasons. I'm concerned the Walter Colasta Great Barrington Regional Airport, KGBR, permitted in April, cannot legally be in a residential zone. There's been no discussion regarding the Village of Housatonic's drinking water haloacidic acid concerns. I'm concerned that there will be no Housatonic Waterworks resolution publicized anyway until the ongoing strategic airport planning is secured after the upcoming annual town meeting. The March 21st, 2020 airport special permit application submitted by Jim Scalise SK Design Group is in compliance for such a facility with the numerous Massachusetts general law and Commonwealth Massachusetts regulations site-specific to the 780 Mount Plain Road property. The application of abutters list from the assessor's office dated March 6, 2020 states the abutters to the subject property is correct according to the latest records of this office. Has my name on 780 Mount Plain Road. Yet despite my pleading since, town officials and parties involved have refused to acknowledge accept or honor 78 Egremont Plain as mine during the April airport permitting process. The last page, 167 of the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission Regional Transportation Plan final draft, effective October 1st, 2023, Appendix 7, is just a picture of train and railroad tracks. Great Barrington did not and is not supporting Lee to stop the upland disposal facility as we should, but rails for rail. And I'm concerned as to the North Plain Road property site with railroad tracks that has been in airport special permit applications. The PCBs need to be transported out of state at GE's expense and not used as a tool to generate revenue and winning approval. I'm giving you each and the town manager a copy of the letter I sent to the Berkshire Edge regarding the 8-town school merger. David Scribner would not print, and I'm adding my concerns. The October 28th special town meeting voter approval of the draft merger finalized will include a flight school permitted in April. I'm giving you a copy of my statement read for the record at the planning for December 14th meeting. And I'm giving you page 81 and 82 from the Berkshire Regional Transportation Plan. And quote, the municipalities that host these airports, coming around full circle for me to the 2008 legally binding contract between Berkshire Aviation Enterprise, Great Barrington, Massachusetts Aeronautics Division, and the FAA. A crux of my struggle. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
And I don't know if one of you would be so kind as to give one to Mr. Vemble. And I'd also like one to go to Lee Davis.
Yes, I can do that.
Thank you.
Let's see.
Oh, seem to be short then.
We can stop. Yeah.
You know what, I'll get one.
It'll just give it a minute. It was doing this earlier too. It resets itself.
Okay, perfect. Ananda Timpay?
Hi, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your opening statements and for opening space for members of the school community as well as Great Barrington residents to speak tonight. I'm glad to hear that a review of what happened, policies and procedures is occurring, and that you're planning a listening session in the near future. I also believe that as important as listening is, what matters most are the actions town leadership take moving forward and to correct and repair the situation. I urge that there are at least 3 critical things are included in those actions as you move forward. 1, transparency. As a review is undertaken, that process is transparent and in full view of the public. 2, that you respond to the ACLU and GLAD. The ACLU and GLAD in their letter ask the town to take corrective action and instruct staff and importantly, inform the public that law enforcement responses to concerns about books in schools and other educational programs are not appropriate and should not and will not happen again. To my knowledge, this has not happened yet, at least at the public informing aspect. Without this, there is a chilling effect on the First Amendment in our community and schools, and we're already hearing that this is in fact the case. And third, that what happens in a transparent way regarding the implementation and where necessary creation of policies and procedures to prevent complaints to the police like the one that occurred from being used to harass people in our community, particularly as a tool of discrimination. Thank you.
You just give your address, Amanda.
139 Seacon Crossroad. Thanks for the reminder, Steve.
No problem. Thank you, Amanda. Annie Alquist, just state your name and address and go right ahead.
Annie Alquist, 219 South Street, Housatonic. Can you guys hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to say that I agree with Ms. Tim Payne's comments that came right before mine. I agree with them wholeheartedly. And I just wanted to add that with regard to her specific request for actions to be taken, I understand that some of these actions might, have multi-steps, and they should have multi-steps. And I was just hoping that we could also request something that we can see as part of the transparency that Ms. Tim Payne talked about. Some sort of formal document in writing that says what the action steps are and what is a timeline for when those action steps will be taken. Mr. Bannon, I was so grateful that you, personally committed at the school meeting last week to take the very personal action that it takes in order to make our blind spots smaller so that things like this don't happen in the future. And you also committed to make opportunities for the select board, if I'm correct, and the other administrators and the other, adults in the room. So I'd love for that to be part of this written document that would reflect what are the action steps that the town intends to take. What is a timeline for when we can expect to see those actions so that we as the citizens can hold stakeholders accountable. And I'd also love to see Chief Storty part of the conversation next week. I think it's important that we hear from him his explanation for how this happened, why this happened, and what he's doing to correct any changes that he feels need to be made within his staff so that this doesn't happen again. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ann.
Dan Nielsen, resident of Monterey, 128 Sandusfield Road, parent of a 12-year-old at Du Bois and a 14-year-old at Monument. I want to thank you all for allowing district parents to speak at this meeting. And thank you for the statements at the beginning, especially from Ben and Steve, that spoke so specifically to the issues that many parents are concerned about what happened at the school last month. I want to note, I have in my text messages a number of district parents are having trouble joining the Zoom meeting right now. Not sure what the issue is, but there are other voices that want to be part of this. And I think they'll be at the select board, at the school committee meeting, and I'm sure other folks will be likely to join the listening session, which I agree is a good idea. One thing we've heard twice now, at least twice from district leadership, and Steve, you heard this the other night from Superintendent Dillon, is that the superintendent felt that he was obliged to allow Chief Storty to continue with an investigation in the school because the district values its relationship with the Great Barrington Police Department. And he seemed to be saying that he needed to let Chief Storty continue with the investigation so that the district could continue to rely on the police to be able to come in an emergency. He was implying that the police might not come if Superintendent Dillon didn't allow the police to come in. He made that argument 2 different times, once in writing and once to the family forum last week. So my question to the select board, which I think the parent community would really like to hear your answer on, is does the select board accept this argument from Superintendent Dillon that the school district needed to allow the police in order that the district could count on the police to respond to an emergency in one of the schools down the line. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. SM guest, if you'd state your full name and address, please.
Sure. Hi, this is Sarah Muckridge. I'm a resident of Monterey and a parent of 2 children in the district. Thank you again for opening up this citizen speak time to district parents. And, appreciate the offer of the listening session moving forward. I just really want to bring up, back in 2017, Great Barrington voters enacted the trust policy, which charges this body, the Select Board of Great Barrington, with oversight of policing to ensure that there's not discrimination and profiling of community members during the course of policing. And this feels pertinent just as we enter into, a new listening session and a new review of policies, just to sort of request that we also stay grounded in sort of the values that Great Barrington residents, and certainly with the support of lots of us in the community, voted and asked or charged this body to really uphold that oversight. So as we, again, this is not a new request, we're actually kind of holding to this, and just want to kind of hold that as we move forward into the next steps. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Just state your name and address, please.
Deborah Minkoff, 6 Fern Hill, Great Barrington. I'm a parent of a 7th grader at Du Bois Middle School, and there's been a lot said already, and I did appreciate the kind of comments I heard on the way out to get here this afternoon, evening. But I wanted to make a point, which is that this event happened a month ago. And it's great that there's a willingness for a listening session in 3 weeks, which takes us into about 2 months. During this period of time, there is a beloved teacher who is on a leave of absence. There are kids who are in need of support and not getting it. And they're also being told, and this came up today, that they're being given a narrative of events that includes this point that Dan made, that the police, that the good relationship that existed is what allowed them into the school, and they really said that's why they were here in 3 minutes when there was a fear of a shooting last year. So our children are being told a story about that's shifting culpability for this event. And so I just want to flag that for those of you who don't have kids in the school, and they're really in need. And I'm really concerned about the length of time that will pass between now and that listening session. And the person who suggested a timeline and transparency, or the speakers who have, I really want to double down on that, because I feel like there's work that can be done between now and the listening session, so that actually that listening session is better focused than simply a grievance session, because I feel like concerned parents and community members have started to really say widely to whoever they can what the grievances are, and they're converging on concerns about police presence in the school, concerns about this being piggybacking on and being part of a national attack against DEIB efforts that are showing up here in Great Barrington, and a concern about the lack of transparency and accountability in different settings. So I just want to make those points and really ask you respectfully to think about a timeline that can be published on the website, so that people who want to be involved can be focused on what the discussion can be the next time. And so that there is a sense that something is happening, and it's not simply our coming and speaking to a panel of concerned and interested actors, but really that not more time gets lost, because this goes to the side of those people who do want, who started this to begin with. Right? Time is against those of us who are trying to stay activated and animated and really trying to look out for our kids in the school. So I just wanted to add those points to the mix. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
Can I say something over?
Yeah, of course.
Hi, Thank you so much. My name is Maria Rundle. I'm a resident of Monterey, and I really appreciate you allowing us to speak, and I appreciate the thoughts that have already been shared. My second one, Ananda started us off with. I just wanted to say, I really love that Great Barrington has this beautiful rainbow colored crosswalk. And a friend of mine did a photo shoot when it first was painted and put it on social media, and it was like, yay, Great Barrington, yay, we live in such a great, beautiful place. But we really can't celebrate that if we also have a police chief who takes a phone call that is a classic textbook case of gay panic. And here's a narrative that lines up perfectly with the 1982 vision of educators who have an LGBTQIA identity or affinity or any way that they are building student identity to understand their own LGBTQIA expression and say, well, that sounds deviant. That is pedophilia. That is a danger to our children and must be acted upon today. Without going to the book loft and buying this book, Gender Queer, but hearing the title Gender Queer and immediately making some assumptions and then taking actions. These are ways that we should have our eyes open to, that the law enforcement and the police culture has been weaponized against vulnerable communities in our community. And to have it happen here, it's a real surprise. And to have people in power and decision-making positions that didn't have their eyes open when that happened in a way that they could then use their power that we have given them to stop that from happening was really surprising. And I really appreciate that coming out of this, there's been so many opportunities for us to appreciate the good and to appreciate the ways that this community does stand up for vulnerable communities and to appreciate the way that this community is united and banding together is such a beautiful thing. And I want to appreciate that our decision-making body on the select board has really risen to the occasion and is following up and pursuing the best course forward that is in alignment with bringing the values that we have back into alignment with what's actually happening in our decision-making bodies. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Matthew Porter.
Hi, thank you, board. I have to apologize. I'm the attorney for San V Liquor Inc. We had a item earlier on the agenda. I'm not sure if it's too late to discuss it. The hearing started at 7. I ended up having to get pulled to another 7 p.m. hearing. So if we could just give the board a rundown of that, unless it was already approved, and then I'll log right off.
No, it was passed over tonight. Let me finish citizen speak, and if the board's okay, we'll go to that afterwards.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else on citizen speak? Seeing no one. I'll go to media time. Let me go to this one first then. Okay. I lose him completely.
No, he's off at the top.
Okay, there it is. Okay, I've unmuted you, Mr. Porter. If you would just for those who are taking notes at home, this is 8C, Zombie Liquor Inc. application for amendment to liquor license, pledge of collateral, pledge of license, and pledge of inventory at 10 Depot Street, Housatonic, Mass. Explanation, please.
Yes, again, Matthew Porter for San V Liquor Inc. Represents San V Liquor, who operates as Aberdale's in town. When these folks purchased the store, they financed the purchase through the seller, which was Aberdale's at that time. Aberdale's took back a pledge of license and inventory as collateral on that license. They have since refinanced that loan to pay off the Aberdale's through Rockland Trust. And so as a result of that, Rockland Trust is now asking for a pledge of license and inventory. And that's the gist of it.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the Savi Liquor Inc. application for amendment to liquor license, pledge of collateral, pledge of license, and pledge of inventory at 10 Depot Street, Housatonic, Mass.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you taking me out of order. Thank you.
No problem. Select board time, Ben. Garfield.
Nothing.
Eric.
I just wanted to say thank you for everybody that came out and spoke tonight. It is gonna be a couple weeks of contemplating and moving forward, and discussion, so. Thank you.
Immediate time. Being done by unanimous consent, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.